From idol to leader. How Jungkook quietly rose as a commander in the shadows of military life. And why the world didn't see it coming. Why would the world's most beloved magne step into the shadows of the military only to emerge? Not as a follower, but as a leader among soldiers? What really happened behind those closed barracks doors that transformed Jungkook of BTS into a respected figure of discipline, loyalty, and unexpected command? Was it fate? Was it circumstance? Or has Jungkook been quietly preparing for this moment long before the cameras ever turned off? As the world's eyes turned away for a moment, believing he was simply serving like every other South Korean man, something unexpected was unfolding behind military walls. A quiet evolution. A transformation far from the glitz and choreography of the stage. In a world where rank, grit, and duty define respect, Jungkook was not just blending in. He was rising. Soldiers at his base had begun to speak, though cautiously, about the idol who doesn't act like one. According to multiple insider reports, Jungkook had not only adapted to the strict regimens of military life, he had embraced them. And more than that, he had begun to stand out, but not in the way you might think. Not through arrogance. Not by pulling rank due to his fame, but by doing something far more powerful. Serving quietly, working harder than expected, and putting others before himself. He led from the middle, one junior officer recounted anonymously. Not from the front shouting orders, but by doing the hardest jobs first. And when he made a mistake, he owned it before anyone else could. It's hard to imagine the man once known for his golden voice and youthful charm, now organizing drills, coordinating nighttime watch rotations, and consoling younger recruits who felt they didn't belong. But those who served alongside him say Jungkook found purpose in those duties. Military life demands more than strength. It requires unity, precision, the ability to shoulder someone else's burden without hesitation. In such an environment, leadership is not given. It's earned at S. Oh, how did Jungkook earn theirs? It started with silence. He didn't arrive expecting deference. In fact, reports suggest he went out of his way to avoid special treatment. He took the same meals, did the same chores, carried the same weight, sometimes literally. He was the one scrubbing floors when others thought he'd skip it. The one volunteering for night watch even when he was off duty, said a fellow conscript. At first, people were watching him like a celebrity. By the second month, they were looking to him for direction. It's a version of Jungkook the public has never seen. Not the performer, not the global sensation, but the patriot, the comrade, the one who pulled others up when they were about to fall. His responsibilities reportedly extended far beyond the barracks walls. He was chosen to coordinate key internal events, including tactical drills and morale nights. He took on the planning of team-building activities, which are considered vital in maintaining psychological resilience among soldiers. He even designed a small fitness program for his squad, based on the regimens he used as an idol trainee. But what truly set him apart was how he handled conflict. When tensions rose between units, whether due to fatigue, stress, or hierarchy, Jungkook stepped in, not to lecture, but to listen. He became, as one commander said, a pressure valve. The person you could go to when you didn't want to explode. And it wasn't all calm. There was one night, according to a whispered account, that a younger soldier broke down under pressure during a nighttime drill. Cold, exhausted, ready to give up. Jungkook, already off shift and asleep, got up, pulled on his gear, and ran the entire drill again, with that soldier by his side. After that, everyone knew, the insider said. He wasn't here to survive the military. He was here to serve it. So why hasn't Big Hit released a statement about his rising leadership role? Why isn't the world celebrating this chapter of his life? Because Jungkook didn't want it that way. Several inside sources confirm that he specifically requested discretion. No media releases, no documentary crews, no brand collaborations tied to his military image. To Jungkook, this wasn't PR. It was purpose. Still, whispers began to leak. Not from the agency, not from official military spokespeople, but from ordinary young men who stood beside him during morning inspections, who shared rice with him in the mess hall, who struggled beside him under the punishing weight of a 20 kilograms rucksack, and came out stronger because he was there. Perhaps that's the most striking part of this story. Jungkook didn't become a leader through fame. He became a leader through humility, through sweat, through service, and it changed him. Insiders say he's no longer the same Jungkook who entered the barracks. His voice has grown more firm, his posture more composed, and his view of the world wider. There's a gravity to him now, a sense of purpose that lingers in the way he speaks, even in passing. And maybe that's the story we weren't ready to see. Not just an idol completing his national duty, but a man becoming something more than a protector, a unifier. A leader as his discharge date nears. Speculation grows over what kind of music he'll release next, what comeback schedule he'll follow, and how quickly he'll return to the stage. But perhaps the more important question is, will he ever be the same Jungkook again? Because something was born in those barracks, something forged in discipline, sweat, and responsibility. And while fans may be eagerly waiting to hear his voice again, those who served with him say the real change was never about the music that it was about the man he became when no one was watching. And maybe, just maybe, that's the story that matters most. They say true leadership isn't about commanding attention. It's about commanding respect. And by the third month of his enlistment, it wasn't just officers who began to notice Jungkook's quiet influence. It was the youngest recruits, the ones who had arrived shaking in their boots, unsure of their worth, their place, their strength point. One of them, only 19 years old and freshly assigned to the base, shared through a private online forum, his message now deleted, that on his third day he had nearly packed his things to leave. The mental strain, he wrote, was worse than any physical pain. He had never been away from his family before, never faced the harshness of military culture, never believed he could survive it. Then came Jungkook, not with a lecture, not with rank, but with a quiet, shared moment. That night, Jungkook sat beside him during a quick 5-minute break. No cameras, no fanfare, just a gentle voice asking, "You okay?" The recruit, stunned and on the verge of tears, simply nodded. Jungkook didn't pry. He just offered him half a protein bar from his pocket and said, "One day at a time." That's how I got through the first week. That moment changed everything. Stories like that began circulating in whispers, in private messages between family members of soldiers, and eventually, carefully, across fan communities. Jungkook wasn't just serving his country. He was lifting people out of places they didn't know they could survive. Not with fame, but with presence, with empathy, with strength. Over time, the environment within the barracks began to shift. The air felt different, said one account. More cooperative, more unified. When punishments came down for unit failures, a common military practice, soldiers noticed something strange. No one tried to shift blame. They stood together, facing the consequences as one. Many credit that spirit of solidarity to Jungkook's consistent example that he never blamed. He just worked harder. Even more surprising, junior officers began to incorporate Jungkook-style leadership into how they trained others. Tasks once delivered with icy detachment were now explained with purpose. Group activities became more than drills. They became moments of connection. Could one man have done all that? It seems unlikely, unless that one man had already spent a decade inspiring millions, not with power, but with heart. And yet, even through all this, Jungkook reportedly never once tried to escape his role as a soldier. In fact, he often refused the small privileges typically extended to celebrities in service. He lined up for meals. He carried full gear. He participated in every drill, no matter how grueling. What does that kind of discipline do to a person? According to sources, it didn't just sharpen him physically, it changed his sense of identity. Gone was the boy who worried about breaking under pressure. In his place stood someone who had learned to carry others when they were breaking. You could see it in his eyes, said one superior. He wasn't there to survive it. He was there to grow through it. And it showed in how he spoke. Jungkook, never one to be overly verbal in public, began taking on informal roles during group discussions and planning meetings. He summarized orders. He clarified confusing instructions. He encouraged younger soldiers to speak. At times, he even offered himself as a translator for foreign-born soldiers struggling with military Korean, a rare but invaluable gesture. But perhaps the most unexpected moment came during an internal crisis no one outside the barracks would ever have known. Until now. One night, in the middle of a routine surveillance rotation, a malfunction caused a panic among several units. Alarms blared. Lights cut out. Soldiers scrambled in confusion. For 5 minutes, there was no clear leadership, the kind of moment where fear can take hold fast. And then Jungkook's voice cut through the noise, calm, focused, commanding. Everyone to the wall. Count off. Squad leaders verify gear. No one moves alone. It wasn't screaming. It wasn't chaos. It was structure, clarity, safety. Officers who witnessed the event later admitted they had been caught just as off guard. But it was Jungkook who helped stabilize the situation before command fully regained control. He didn't expect praise afterward. He didn't want recognition. But from that night forward, he wasn't just another respected recruit, that he was a backbone. And it wasn't just felt within the base. Letters began to arrive, letters from family members thanking the base for what Jungkook had done for their sons. One mother wrote to a junior officer, "My son says he made it through his worst weeks because of someone named Jungkook. I had no idea until I heard the stories. Please tell him thank you for saving a part of my child." For many soldiers, the military can feel like a machine, relentless, unforgiving, detached. But Jungkook brought warmth into it, not softness, not weakness, but humanity. And that humanity became the bedrock of a leadership style so rare it couldn't be taught in manuals or training slides. It came from living through fame, scrutiny, pain, and growth, and carrying those lessons into a place where strength is redefined. Point one can't help but wonder. Did Jungkook find something in the military he couldn't find on stage? Freedom from pressure? A reset? A deeper understanding of who he is without the cameras? And more importantly, what kind of man will walk out those gates when his service is complete? If this transformation is any indication, we may be witnessing the rebirth of not just an artist, but a visionary. The next chapters will matter. What choices will he make? Will he take on more leadership within BTS? Will his music carry the weight of this transformation? Will his lyrics shift from dreamy rebellion to national pride, resilience, and identity? And is the world ready for that Jungkook? The one who isn't just a global pop icon, but a leader born in silence, forged in unity, and destined to inspire not just through song, but through strength of character. He has 32 days left, but he's already left an impact that will outlast uniforms, stages, or headlines. And maybe that's the real story behind this chapter of his life.